Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose to bring us a little bit closer. And look here. Jermall Charlo wins with one hand and one punch, his jab. Caleb Plant loses with one hand, a number of shots from that one hand, but he just can't get the job done. Let me tell you something. Jermall Charlo, he is looking super strong. You can understand why. They've always said Big Charlo was stronger than Small Charlo, although they're only, as far as age, the difference is a couple minutes or something, right? But Jermall Charlo, with his jab, he's got the Ike Corte. He's got the winky right going on. Some power in that jab. It's extremely accurate. It's off rhythm on time. Sometimes it's on rhythm. You never know when it's coming. The man will double up on that jab, triple, quadruple. He does what he wants with that left hand. He will come on occasion and he'll throw the hook off of it. He'll even throw the jab and then turn into an uppercut. The right hand has some power, so the fighter stop worrying about the jab and the right hand comes into play. And I understand the opponent he had in front of him last night. LaManna wasn't really someone he had to worry about. LaManna didn't really have much power. LaManna got that first jab, his nose looked to be broken, and he wasn't the same fighter. But believe you me, if Jermall Charlo fights anybody, he's going to do quite well. Doesn't mean I'm saying he beats everyone at 168. That's not what I'm saying. But the most important punch in boxing is the jab. And Charlo has a very, very powerful jab. That being said, him against Canelo will be very interesting. Charlo against Billy will be interesting. Charlo against Caleb Plant, Charlo beats Caleb Plant. You know why? Because he only needs his jab to beat a guy who can't do anything with his right hand. Now, Caleb Plant is an exceptional fighter. But I'm telling you, man, let me say this. Plant is a clean fighter. I believe Caleb Plant is a clean fighter. But he's just been doing this too long. That's what I feel. Punch resistance is gone, and he just seems to get tired, man. And he's in there against guys where, I gotta say, maybe a lot of these fighters, just like fighters have said, it's not even me saying it. I'm listening to what the professional athletes are saying. A lot of these guys are on pads. And when you watch a guy like Caleb Plant get in the ring and can't keep up stamina-wise with an opponent, can't match him in power, can't recover the way the other fighters can recover, makes me wonder if Caleb Plant really is the clean fighter against guys who are juiced to the gills. But that being said, if we just consider that Caleb Plant and everyone he's faced was on a level playing field, I just think when we look at Caleb Plant now, I don't see how anyone, even if they go forward with a fight between Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant, you can give Caleb Plant a chance to win. Now, something I noticed about Caleb Plant a long time ago, but no one pays attention to me because I don't have 250,000 subscribers, but if I had a channel that was that large, people would have been hearing this. But last night we were talking about it, and I was saying it before the fight started. And there were a lot of the guys who were viewing the fight with me. They were like, damn, I never noticed that. Caleb Plant is left-handed, okay? He fights orthodox. So he's a converted southpaw to fight orthodox. So all of his power is in that left hand. His jab, his hook, everything. You even watch when he's stiff-arming people. He does everything with the left hand. Caleb Plant has no faith, has no confidence in his right hand. None. That's why when you see him throw the right hand, it doesn't look natural. And it's just a throwaway punch to kind of blind an opponent or preoccupy opponent's mind just so Caleb Plant can surprise him with the big left hook. The thing with Caleb Plant is if he can't damage you with his left hand, Caleb Plant is a sitting duck. And that's exactly what happened last night. You saw after the first round, but really round after round you saw Caleb Plant. It's like a tire with a slow leak. Just that the air was just going out of that tire. And the air was going out of Caleb Plant. The confidence was going out of Caleb Plant. The conditioning, the stamina, the punch resistance, the power, everything was just slowly leaving Caleb Plant. And he was a one-arm fighter in the ring with a guy who had superior conditioning, was cutting the ring off, and was very economical with his punches. I believe Resendez could have knocked Caleb Plant out earlier if he would have opened up. Just like I feel Jermall Charlo could have got that guy LaManna up out of there if he would have opened up. But it looked like Charlo just wanted to get some rounds in, and like Resendez wanted to be careful because they knew Caleb Plant was trying to set him up for that left hand. But the bottom line, I don't know where Caleb Plant goes from here. I do think it'd still be fun to see Plant and Charlo fight. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Caleb Plant cannot land his signature left hook, I can't get that jab going. If the left hand is taken away from him, if it's nullified, Caleb Plant will not beat Jermall Charlo. The idea of Caleb Plant fighting Edgar Berlanga, I mean, again, if he can't catch him with the left hand, he doesn't win. So I got Berlanga beating Caleb Plant. I got Charlo beating Caleb Plant. Munguia will beat Caleb Plant. I got everybody beating Caleb Plant. You know what I'm saying? Unless he fights maybe a B-level fighter, he's going to lose. Because Caleb Plant, he can't generate any power with his right hand. And it's sad to see, man. But anyway, people are going to have their opinions about Caleb Plant, about where he goes and what he does. But actually, I think it's pretty interesting, though, if they still decide to go forward with that fight. Because when you take a look at, where am I at? Right here. When you take a look at this damn thing, Caleb Plant, right? He lost his WBA interim world super middleweight championship last night. But the individual he lost it to, he wasn't even ranked. Let me see, where was he ranked by the WBA? Yeah, he wasn't even ranked by the WBA. So why Plant took that fight, I don't know. But anyway, you look at Caleb Plant, just try to imagine Caleb Plant who was trying to get a rematch with Canelo. How do you think that would have went? Try to imagine him against Hamza Shiraz, who's going to be fighting Edgar Berlanga. I mean, how do you think that goes? And the other thing is, Caleb Plant for sure, he's not making his way to Saudi Arabia anymore. So if he had any hopes of getting over there to cash out, he's seen all those dreams come crumbling down last night. But really, Caleb Plant against Pacheco, who you got winning? Diego Pacheco or Caleb Plant? I got Pacheco. Jermall Charlo against Pacheco, who you got winning? That's an interesting fight. I think Pacheco beats Jermall Charlo. But again, Jermall Charlo can fight. 6'1" against a guy who's 6'4" with long arms, got power and can box. I think it'd be a difficult fight for Charlo. Edgar Berlanga and Pacheco, that's a real good fight. But Caleb Plant and Edgar Berlanga, that ain't gonna work out. Then you got, Sarachi, who's a good fighter, man. You got Shishkin, who's a good fighter. You got Simpson, you got Mbili, Hamza Shiraz. You got some guys out there. Even Bekter Melkazuliev, the Beck Bully. Who you got winning that fight between the Beck Bully and what's his name, Caleb Plant, or against Charlo? I think Charlo would just jab the Beck Bully till the Beck Bully goes crazy. The Beck Bully's another one-trick pony. Everything with him is his left hand. Left hand, left hand, left hand. But the thing is, he's got power. And he comes into bum rush. But I think Jermall Charlo would take care of the Beck Bully with no problem. The thing is, the Beck Bully is just won a title eliminator. So now he's probably going to be the mandatory he's probably going to have to fight Mbili. Mbili, yeah, he ain't going to go right to Canelo Alvarez. He'll probably have to fight Mbili or somebody. But the bottom line is, when I take a look at what's out there, Caleb Plant was ranked number 4 by the ring. Now Caleb Plant's probably going to drop down. This other guy should bubble up into the rankings because now he has a belt. But Mbili, Pacheco, Iglesias, Munguia, Skull, Shishkin, Sarachi, Berlanga, Martinez. When I think about those names, I think about Caleb Plant trying to mix it up with them and him being a one-handed fighter. I just don't see Caleb Plant standing up to those guys. I think William School will beat Caleb Plant. I'm being honest with you. School will outbox him. And Caleb Plant, I just think Caleb Plant's at the end of his rope. Now, as far as Jermall Charlo, Jermall and Alvarez, I think is a very interesting fight because they kind of fight the same. Jermall just kind of walking you down and trying to get you out of there. But Alvarez and Charlo will be a very, very good fight. And Billy was Berta BF's sparring partner, so to think Charlo and Billy scrapping right now, I don't know. And Billy's athletic, and again, he was Berta BF's chief sparring partner, so when Billy knows how to bring it. But right talking about Pacheco Iglesias, 13-0, he's getting busy. You got what's his name out there? Hernandez is another one, man, who's doing really good. And then these other names. So the bottom line, I don't know what direction these guys are going to go, but for Berlanga, I don't think he should be ridiculed. I think he should be praised. But if you're going to say anything, I can understand about him being cocky and him thinking that he's the best fighter in the world. I mean, he's not supposed to think he's awful, but you got to frame things. You got to realistically frame conversations about yourself being the best at something. And when I look at Caleb Plant, I just think he's been a bit delusional, kind of like Shakur Stevenson, thinking that he's the best fighter in the world. We know for a fact Shakur Stevenson ain't the best nothing, irregardless of weight class. He's good, but he's not the best at nothing. And I think we're gonna learn that about him when he faces what's his name, Zepeda. I think Shakur Stevenson and Zepeda gonna look how Caleb Plant looked against what's his name, Resendez. Now the thing about Shakur Stevenson, he's also right. He's right-handed. He's naturally right-handed. I watched Shakur Stevenson playing basketball. He's a right-handed fighter. Okay? So Shakur Stevenson is another one of them. He's a converted Orthodox guy. So he's naturally right-handed, converted to southpaw. So they took him and made him a southpaw. So he's another one. He has no power in that left hand. Everything with him is just right. If he can't hurt you with that right hand and his feet can't get him out of trouble, Shakur Stevenson's a sitting duck. So I'm going to do another video about that. So anyway, what we saw happen last night with Jermall Charlo, I think was great. Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant, I should say this for another video. They should have Jermall Charlo fight Caleb Plant anyway because we want to see it. Same way I think most of us still want to see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Just give us the fight. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we would like to see. We've gone all this time without getting some really good fights in boxing. Just because Plant lost, don't take the fight from him. Zab Judah lost to Carlos Baldomir. They're still giving Mayweather. So, and everybody was still interested. So you can do like Zab Judah and Mayweather, still make the fights even though someone's coming off a loss. And do like the UFC. Guys are in there fighting. There's going to be winners, there's going to be losers. But just because a guy lose doesn't mean he should never be allowed to fight again. That's ridiculous. Anyway, we'll see what's next for Jermall. We'll see what's next for Caleb Plant. But one thing for sure I'll tell you about Caleb Plant, although he's a one-handed fighter, although I think his career is at the end, I'm gonna give him all respect in the world because he's a clean fighter. And he's in the ring probably against guys who aren't clean. And it's horrible that shit like this happens in boxing. I'm not saying there's any foul play about last night, but what I'm telling you is I do believe that most of these guys are doing something. And you can see when a guy gets about 31, 32, 33, that's pretty much his shelf life in boxing. But then you see a guy getting faster, stronger, more powerful in his mid to late 30s. The guy looking better than he did in his 20s. That ain't natural. That's not natural. That's not how that's supposed to work, man. It's like me having a car. You guys have a car, right? And you have 200,000 miles on your car. And you get the exact same make and model, just a new year, right? You have 15 miles on it. And the 200,000 mile car outperforms the car with 15 miles. Fresher engine, New car, everything brand new. And this old car is supposed to outperform that new one. I don't care what kind of synthetic oil and shit you putting in that car. That ain't supposed to happen. It ain't supposed to happen. Anyway, keep cool. Go ahead and make the Jermall Charlo and Plant fight anyway. We want to see it. And for those of you who are thinking, yeah, Maul needs to get his slap back. Yeah. He let Plant slap him. How you let a white man slap a black man? Listen, that wasn't a white man slapping a black man. That was a guy who had been disrespected because of his race, a guy who had been disrespected in front of his wife and his child, and a guy who was sitting there trying to avoid the bullshit and had somebody think they could intimidate him and punk him, grabbing at his face and grabbing at his beard. So when Caleb Plant slapped him, Caleb Plant was a hero that day. There was no white against black. It was no racial bullshit, so y'all stop with that narrative. That was a hero. Sitting there, man, slapping the shit out of a clown. And a villain was a hero slapping the shit out of a villain. And that's why Jermall Charlo came out and said he deserved that slap. He said he deserved the slap. Because he knows he was wrong. I remember my dad was telling me a story about my dad from the Caribbean, man. You know what I'm saying? Indian dude from Trinidad and Tobago. He was saying the story about when he came up here to the United States in his 20s. And there was a guy, a little bigger than him, and he kept, whenever my dad would talk, the guy would kind of mimic him, you know, trying to make fun of the accent. My dad was real cool, and the guy kept doing it, and my dad just looked at the guy and said, hey, where I'm from, we have ghetto too. That's all he told the guy. And the guy kept messing with him. And he came over to my dad, and he was kind of, you know, mimicking him. Anyway, my dad said he grabbed, you know, I already know how my dad was. First thing he could get his hand on, and it was, he said he got his hand on, it was a boot, a big steel toe boot. He said he grabbed it and he hit that guy as hard as he could in his head with it. And he said the guy went down, he hit him like 3 more times with it, as hard as he can, you know, as hard as he could. He said people were fucking screaming, going crazy. Y'all know Caribbean people crazy and shit. So after the dust settled, the guy was fucked up, right? So my dad ended up running to the guy another time, and the guy came to my dad and apologized and said, hey, I was wrong. You know, I shouldn't have been harassing you. And my dad said all he told him, he just looked at him and said, hey, I told you where I'm from, we have ghetto too. And left the guy there looking stupid. And I think what happened with Jermall Charlo was a little bit of Caleb Plant letting him know. I'm from Tennessee, but this poor boy knows about the ghetto too, and you ain't gonna fuck with me. And I think that's why Jermall Charlo is being super nice to him, because Caleb Plant had to get that. If not, Jermall Charlo would have continued talking about he's a white boy, he's white this. So I'm glad Caleb Plant slapped the shit out of him. But if they were to fight, I think Jermall beats him. I just think Jermall beats him. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.